Welcome to thepowerofvoices.com. I'm Annamarie, and this is a Comedy Hour Live. I am very happy tonight to announce that I have Naim Lynn in the building, who is my guest host for tonight. Let me see. Who do I got over here? I got Rocky helping me with my equipment, and hopefully we can get that running on my Facebook page live. But in the meantime, welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
It's just hanging out, man. Now, being as that you're a Jersey boy.
All day.
Yeah, all day. We're East Coasters.
Uh-huh.
And we're both out here on the West Coast, and you've been here a while.
I've been here, it'll be 10 years in January.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, in saying that, what did you think when you first got here? Because I'm like the differences, there are like incredible differences, obviously, in the way it looks out here.
Right.
But 10 years ago, I'm wondering, was the mentality the same way? LA for me was just like overwhelming.
Well, it wasn't a culture shock for me at all because I had been frequenting here for several years prior to me moving. And before I moved, the year before I moved, I was actually here for 2 months living. So, well, I was house sitting. So I was here for 2 months. And that's when I was like, yo, I really want to make this move. So as far as it being any different than it is now, absolutely not. It's always been dog eat dog, cutthroat competition out here.
The other thing is that the energy out here, though. I mean, I'm a high energy, but the energy and creativity, like I keep saying that even the homeless people are brilliant. I mean, you got to admire even
right.
They've got like the most incredible imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can imagine it here, and you can wrap it in something, and you can get it together, you can package it and sell it. Because I've had people where I'm like, you know, my biggest curiosity is, what do you do for a living?
Right.
But I'm not the LAism of what do you do for a living? What can you do for me?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, what do you do for a living? Because I'm fascinated with, why is there so many people who aren't doing anything? Who is working?
Right. Right. I mean, I guess you're referring to traffic and shit like that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you're in the car thinking, why isn't anybody at work, they're thinking the same thing about you.
Exactly.
It's a bunch of those people.
Because you know, like, okay, you get lucky certain times of the day.
It's called the night.
Yeah, but even that,
yeah,
even that, they decide to like shut your exit, you know.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh
that.
shit! If you're not from here, thank God for GPS. I don't know what you did 10 years ago.
You got to follow those orange detour signs.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, 10 years ago, you did not have GPS, dude. How?
Actually, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Wait, how?
Yeah.
Really? I guess I wasn't paying attention.
I mean, I had it in my car.
Oh, that's right. The Tom-Toms.
But I had it built in my car, though.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah, I had an Infinity. I had a 08 Infinity. I bought it at the end of 2007. It had GPS.
You know, I have to admit that the whole idea of coming out to L.A. and sitting in that traffic, you know, getting onto the highway where they have red lights to get onto the highway, and then everybody is like, I had out-of-state plates, so I had the grace. I noticed a big difference where I would just put my hand up and be like, please, I got to get over. And, you know, people were like, okay, you can go. And there were some that like, what would they say? Welcome to L.A., bitch. And I'd be like, seriously?
Somebody said that to you?
Yeah, seriously, like, get with it. And I was like, what?
I mean, you know, the whole key, once you make eye contact with somebody, then they kind of got to let you in.
Right.
You know, so people, they try not to look at you. I cussed this lady out at the airport one day because, you know, if the airport, you can cut through. Like, if you go into, like, Terminal 5, you cut through.
Yep.
And I was cutting through. And when you go through 7, when you cut through the 7, there's 2 lanes all the way through. At 5, one of the lanes starts to merge. And the lady wouldn't let me in. And she was like, you can't just cut her. I said, it's a fucking merge, bitch. You know, and she was like... And there was a guy in the passenger seat. He didn't say shit. He probably would just think like, you should have let him in, bitch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because you're at the mercy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Boston drivers, and I know that New Jersey drivers.
Yeah. Oh, we're crazy.
Yeah,
we're crazy. That's the thing. That's the worst part about being in L.A. if you're from the East Coast, because we are hustle and bustle. You know, we're aggressive drivers, and people here, they always act like they don't have anywhere to be. You know,
that's right.
I'm always rushing to get to a damn audition or something, or I just can't deal with the traffic. Sometimes I'll take somebody with me just so I can get in the carpool lane. You know,
right? I've you know, you think, oh my God, this my friend invited me, and the guy goes, you know, I invited you today because I need to be in the carpool lane.
Right.
Because I was wondering if you could make that a business. Like, I mean, granted, you got to try to find a lot of ways back home. But that's got to be a side hustle too, just available to just carpool with.
Oh, there you go. We every now and then toss those ideas.
They have some app where people do stuff like that. Where like if you go into the DMV, they'll go and stand in line for you. I don't know what it's called, but it's brilliant. Yeah, maybe. Like they'll go stand in line for you and tell you when your number is coming up. Like people out here, people just do stuff to make money.
Well, you have to. I mean that's one of the things that I find the most fun is the imagination. As I said, I met a guy who was a metaphysical life coach, and I'm like, okay, well, what exactly is that? And he said, when people, I deal with their awakening, and when they're awakened, he says, I don't actually waken them. I said, no, man. He gets $2 an hour. I said, oh yeah, because the awakening is free. It's called a bitch slap, I imagine, in life, but he gets paid $2 a minute to discuss. And I was so curious because I'm like, okay, I gotta write this shit down. I mean,
because you always need that side hustle,
right? I'm like, do you have a degree? Well, no, I've traveled the world, and people signed. This is no shit. People signed his Starbucks cup, they scratched their name in it. I'm like, seriously, use that as a fucking calling card. I said, like, this place is great. Yeah, $2 a minute, right? It's just and then I had the pleasure of meeting where I park where I parked my car. There was a guy who was parking there every day, and he'd get out, and black guy, and he'd yell over at me, and I'd yell over at him. We'd joke back and forth about him parking there. And one day I walked up to him, and he says, we get into the conversation, who are you, who am I? And he says, well, I was probably in your house when your kids were growing up every day. And I'm like, seriously, dude, that's the creepiest thing I've ever heard. And he goes, I'll give you a hint.
Oh my God.
Know who it is. I'm purple. And I'm like,
Barney?
Yes, it was David Joyner.
I met David.
Yeah, but he's a tantrum masseuse now.
It's a small world.
Really?
He says, he goes, I'm into tantrum masseuse, which I want you to know I had to go home and Google what the fuck is a
tantra is some sexual shit.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
But almost without touching, like, just the energy.
That's what he said. He was behind me. I was like, is he air humping my leg right now? Because he was like, let me give you a free session. He's behind me. He's like, whoa. What? And I'm like, my girlfriend's standing in front of me, and she's trying to not laugh because, he's seriously into this. And he's saying that when a woman reaches her orgasm, she's the height of, and I asked a woman, what do you want to do? Say it over and over again. And when she reached orgasm, she wanted to be property manager. And I'm like, well, I bet people walking by thought this woman really had a great thing for the property manager. And I said, seriously? And he goes, yeah. I go, okay, well, how is she getting the orgasm if this is not a sexual thing? Who's doing the application? Because I don't want to get graphic. And he goes, well, I am. I said, of course you are. And I wanted to say, because I'm thinking, Barney, I love you, you love me. Was that a lie too? Because I'm thinking Tantra is about sex.
Right.
Could be me. But it's just, I said to my girlfriend, yep, on a corner getting humped by Barney. Who would have ever thought?
Energy, right?
It is.
And, but it's funny that you mentioned that and Barney, because then who was your boy? Elmo. Didn't he have a little scandal or something?
Elmo.
Like,
he had a scandal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Elmo had a scandal?
Yes.
The actor who played Elmo.
I know you're talking about a black guy, too.
Yeah.
What happened with him?
I don't know. Well, it wasn't too much of a scandal.
He masturbating in the movie
theater. It was,
Pee Wee Herman.
No, that was Pee Wee.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, all these childhood people.
Well, you know what? It just goes to show you. It's just one of those things. When you have kids. I mean, we talked about this.
One.
Yeah, one. All right, a daughter. And I'd always say to my girls, just remember, the boogeyman doesn't look like a boogie. He doesn't look like a scary monster. He looks like the nicest person you'd ever want to meet. And you're going to confuse your kids as to like, well, who should we talk to then? Because, as adults, we see a little kid go by and we're all like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And the mother goes, say hello when somebody says hello to you. And the next thing the parent's going to say is, don't talk to strangers.
Right.
That's why children are so confused today.
I mean, you got to be a fucking weirdo to be doing a kid's voice, a doll's voice as a grown-ass adult anyway. Like, it's kind of...
Whatever pays the bills. Come on.
No, I mean...
You haven't done any voiceover work yet?
No. I mean, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I'm just saying, like, that you're playing this puppet.
Wait a minute.
Like,
right, I want to see the home videos. You're going to be there. You're going to be there.
I'm going to be where?
Well, you'll be talking to your daughter. You're going to have those funny little voices because it's your kid.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but...
Somebody else's kid? Nah.
When you make a living of it.
It's like, it's kind of weird, Like, Like you're like, hey, I wanna be this little doll here. I'm gonna then. Like you said, I mean, he was a creep, and then Barney's a creep.
And then, right.
I don't even think Elmo was a creep. It was just like something about being gay or something. But I think they were trying to say it was like younger guys or something.
Because it's so Hollywood.
Not kids, but yeah.
Build them up and then try and rip them apart.
So he was getting guys fresh out of high school.
Yeah, allegedly. This is all alleged.
Yeah, let's leave Elmo alone.
How they said Hollywood is allegedly.
Leave Elmo alone.
Allegedly.
Next subject, man.
I can't recall. But yeah, and I would say that the whole thing about growing up in, let's see, there's 4 in my family, was I had one brother. And having a brother meant that he could, when he's got 3 sisters, he could torment the shit out of us with, which is why I love guys, because my brother was my idol. His sense of humor was off the charts as to what he used to torture us with. His favorite thing was scaring the shit out of you when you were at home alone, or you'd come walking into a dark house, and his greatest thrill was actually keeping you 1 inch from a heart attack. I mean, that was his greatest thrill, was scaring his sisters. He's right, but little brothers,
white guys
big
have
brothers,
like the cruelest like sense of humor.
Right?
Do they? All right, wait.
We'll pull a little prank or something, but like,
yeah, you don't terrorize your sisters.
Borderline like psychopathic.
Like you see those videos now. These white guys, they're going into the hood, and I seen one where guys like
with the zombie.
Not that one. I saw that.
Hilarious.
The guys like he's asking these black guys in like the hood in New York, do they want beef? He said,
yeah.
Say you want some beef, and they actually got like a package of beef. They like, hell yeah, I want some fucking beef. And then he started like a couple of them start beating him up. He's like, it's a prank. Like, yeah, you don't play like that.
No, what are you thinking?
Because beef in the hood is like you want to fight.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
you didn't
like,
get it.
You asking me if I want to fight? Like, hey, whatever.
Yeah, you want some beef? It's there.
I thought with okay, yeah, like you said,
no, not West Hollywood,
not West.
You want this package?
Yeah,
this kielbasa?
Yeah, not that beef. That's pork. No.
How many were in your family growing up?
Just my brother. I got one sibling. That's it.
Really? Is he funny like you?
He's much more extroverted than I am. He's loud and he's fun. Life of a party. I'm actually the opposite of him. But we think alike though.
Yeah.
We just carry ourselves differently.
Okay. Because one of the things, like I said to Rocky, I learned, I can't believe comedians, because I'm the person who's listening to the show that is going, I didn't know that when I'm actually interviewing. And I said, I didn't know that comedians weren't on all the time. I didn't know that some comedians, when they step off stage, that approaching them is not a good idea. It's and I understand that the amount of energy, and it's so much energy. You have to keep that heightened energy every single time. You do a lot of the same material, right? Where you have a show and it's a show to show. Right. So being a salesperson, I'd be talking to people all day, and anyone who knows me, they'll tell you there's a tombstone somewhere that says, here lies Annamarie still talking, somewhere still talking. But I would actually be exhausted at the end of a 14-hour day and talking and go home and, it's like, what's up? And it's like, right. I get it.
I mean, I don't even have that much energy on stage, so it's not really a huge difference in me on stage and me off stage. It's kind of like I'm just performing. And, when you have to perform for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, it's nonstop talking. So people confuse that with energy when it's not.
Okay.
I still have kind of a laid back style.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm recording, then I'll take my energy up another level because I want it to translate well on television. But for the most part, I'm laid back on stage, And then comics, when you talk for a living, you don't really want to do it so much off stage, Right. This is what I do.
No, absolutely.
I have to be funny on command. So the only time you're going to really get some funny out of me, some silliness out of me is if I'm like with one of my close friends or if I'm drinking. When I'm drinking, I talk my ass off.
Do you really?
Oh my God.
That's Mr. Rocky.
I just talk and talk and talk. And I actually, if I could stay drunk and it didn't, not drunk, but tipsy, and it didn't cause harm to you, I'd always be tipsy.
Yeah, the glow.
Yeah.
Well, I people have asked me, well, the glow. People say I get a little bit of a glow, get lit.
Yeah,
get lit. I'm lit all the time. And people say,
I would hate to see you drunk.
No, I'm I got scared straight. I bartended for so long, and I
just recently I lost my drinking buddy over here.
I know, and here's the thing. Like I always wanted to do a skit where, you have bottles, and instead of saying scotch, it would say dickhead, asshole, aggressor, touchy feely, and actually show. Because everybody changes their personality. I'd watch it happen. It was like it was amazing.
Do they change, or they start being who they really are?
That I don't know, because it emphasizes certain things about people. Like if I got drunk, it was because, and I know it's going to sound hard to believe, but I have a hard time having a voice for myself. Somebody else, but I talk a lot. But if there's a boundary crossed, like I always have a hard time saying, I don't like what you're saying. I don't like what you did. Da, da, da. So if I got drunk, in another thing, I was at, but the idea of getting drunk was also people giving up information they would never give out,
right?
If they want.
When you drink, it kind of frees your mind,
It does,
and people say that the truth comes out, the real you comes out, but the reserved person that we are is still the real us, because that's your thinking, and you know better than to do certain things. So with alcohol, it doesn't necessarily,
and that super ego and all.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily bring out who you really are. From a certain standpoint, it does, but just because you might get drunk and go slap somebody on the ass doesn't mean that that's the real you. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just like
my truth. I don't know.
Wait, and the only thing that permission to, baby, I was drunk. I didn't know what I was. I didn't know that I was going to hit that woman.
A person that's not drunk don't give a fuck about you being drunk.
No, absolutely not. I mean, to have that, and that's the other thing. Like I'd sit there. And one of the greatest things was like, okay, we're gonna have two drunk people actually trying to have an argument about something that in the middle of the conversation it's going to turn into, and the different ways that men argue as to like women. And I really feel bad for men, because trying to argue with a drunk woman is like, you might as well tie a cat in a knot and throw it
arguing with a woman in general.
In general?
Let it go.
Just let it go.
You got it.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm wrong.
You're right. That's whatever you need, baby.
Bad.
Yeah.
Can see. But when you speak about that, though, because I had to stop drinking before I went on stage. Do you feel like it would affect your effectiveness on stage? Or do you feel like it would kind of help?
When I drink, I'm extremely sharp. Everything. I'm not condoning this, but I drive better.
That's real talk. Listen, like, there's something to that. Because you're like 10 and 2. You remember all the like driver's ed stuff.
When you're not drinking, when you're sober, you all over the fucking lanes. You're texting. You're doing all the shit you're not supposed to be doing. But when you are tipsy, you like, all right.
It's called impaired aware.
Yeah. And I read better everything. I gave a speech.
Are you a better lover?
I go longer.
You go, so it's not like sticking a marshmallow through a keyhole, as my mother would put it.
Nah, that's
sorry.
That's
what you would say. She tell the guys about, look, you're gonna go home.
That's too drunk when you got to cram it in there.
Yeah, it's like she gave a great visual too, by the way.
Yeah, that's funny visual. But no, when I'm the confidence is everything. So if I'm tipsy, then I'm thinking like, I got real confidence in the DC. The dick control. Were
you that way with the women in high school? I didn't
start drinking until I was 27. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But so outside of that, like when you were dating in high school, were you like Enrique Suave, or were you with a smooth brother? Were you the smooth operator? You were shy? What?
Nah. I lost my virginity at 16, and by the time I got to college, I had sex a total of 7 times with like 4 different chicks. So I never had that consistent sex or consistent experience with women to where I kind of had like this confidence or swag around. I've always been shy, so it just was never. I was never a cornball by any means. I was always part of the in crowd and I was cool, but when it came to women, I just was inexperienced.
So. Was it now? I'm always curious because like I said, I'm a guy's girl, and I come right out and I ask guys. So, at what point did you have a woman who taught you things that you would carry? I mean, like, at what age did you have a woman who said, yeah? Was it an older woman? Was it just someone who'd been with more people and had?
I don't think anybody's ever really taught me anything. It's one person that taught me something, but from the time when I started kissing girls, the first girl that I had a really good kiss with, I just kind of did what she was doing, and I just. And I flow with it, and it was like, "Oh, you're a good kisser," and I was just like,
"Yeah, that's it. That's everything."
I just fucking did what you did. But as far as being taught anything, only one girl I've dealt with ever taught me anything, and she taught me about the A spot and
damn, I bet the girl you're with be saying, "I gotta thank that woman."
Well, my girl actually she don't like that move. I don't do that on her.
Okay.
But it's the A spot stimulation, but I didn't really understand why she was teaching me. I mean, she told me to watch a fucking a tutorial on YouTube, and then I did it, and then she squirted on me, and I was like, yo. What is going on?
So yeah, right, because the only reason why I'll go there with him is because as I told you, I OD'd on videos of you before you came on, and I see you have a very free reign in your comedy of the things that you'll talk about, and where I'm like, okay, well that sounds good because I'm curious. Usually there's certain things that I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable or hit them with a question out of left field, but from the perspective of being a woman and saying, like what women talk about is there's not really a lot of good lovers. Men are always about themselves, and they really don't understand the anatomy of a woman. And I was laughing because that joke you made about the tits, nipples are the main thing. Without them, they look like
two elbows.
Two elbows.
No, I'm a very unselfish lover. I like to please. That's not a problem with me. And when that girl taught me that move, that was. I was probably about 32 at the time. That's the only time anybody's ever told me anything.
Really?
But nah, yeah, I don't think I'm a bad lover at all.
No, I mean, it's not something I was. I didn't mean to sound like I was.
No,
I was grading you, but I'm just really curious as to why is it that when you, and I don't know if you've had women say this to you, like or a woman that you've been with says, not a lot of men are very giving in bed. A lot of men are good lovers. Not a lot of men have that intuition of how a woman's wired, because we're very sensual creatures. And my thing was, well, you're missing out on an awful lot of women if you're rushing through something, and you just, what is it? Well, I love the what was the term? Hitting it. It's like, man, it sounds violent. You ain't hitting nothing.
Nobody even says that anymore.
I hope to God not. But it's really kind of funny because the dating scene, I would imagine. Now you're on the road a lot, and I would imagine and you're in clubs where people are drunk and coming up to you and you'll agree with this when you said about drinking, women that get messy. And to me there's nothing worse than messy women that you would otherwise see as beautiful women. Well, he's like, well, maybe it depends on
they have their
right.
Well,
moments.
It depends on what level of drunk you're at.
You can't just be belligerent, just puking everywhere all on.
Or even just talking too much. I just can't deal with it, but
repeaters?
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I don't really have that type of problem when it comes to women after shows and everything. First of all, usually they'll just ask for a picture and they'll keep it moving. They might try to follow you on social media. The only time I've really been hit on after a show was probably through social media. The women that want to hit on you, they won't. Yeah, they won't say anything to you in person. Like I've had women hit me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything like that. But that's not even an often occurrence.
Can you take any of that?
That might be a cultural thing too. That's why our phrase for getting drunk is "white girl wasted" or "white guy wasted."
Get out! I'm learning all these. All right, I gotta write these phrases down. White girl wasted.
We like to get a nice buzz and be cool, feel good, but we're not trying to be off our ass in most instances.
Yeah.
No,
at least not women.
Well, I would imagine you're at that point in a career where everybody watches what you do. I mean, a lot of people talk about their branding, and you're your brand. So, when you're out and you get to a certain place in life in the entertainment world, you have to be aware of your appearance and what you're doing because people are watching you.
Right.
And one thing about fame is if I've learned anything, just being an attractive woman is if they can find a weakness and somehow shine a worse light on you. There are people who are very jealous and envious of other people's successes, and where I'm like always thinking about some of the younger comedians that I've seen out in the clubs, and they're hammered out of their minds. I'm like, you never know who's in the clubs, am I right?
Yeah,
that could cost you a career, couldn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, he's saying.
I think it can. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the more your notoriety and fame grows, the more careful you have to be.
Now that part. Because you even think about Kevin just not too long ago had his, had a little too much and got behind the wheel or whatever. So it's just kind of like when you're that kind of like franchise brand, yeah, that's a whole nother thing from like I'm Instagram famous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
something
yeah,
like that. So yeah,
yeah, and then you'll have some asshole police officers that they really could say, "Oh shit, I'm a fan, I'll let you go," but instead they want to make an example out of you. They want to be the guy that took such and such down, and then you're on TMZ.
Plus
that.
You're in some Lamborghini or something, just like, right. Oh, you think you're hot shit, huh? Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the other ugly side of that. I mean, my brother being in the industry, I remember Steven Tyler. I had the opportunity to, when I was talking about being famous, he said that he can't go out in public without guards. He said, he was talking about the price of fame, and he said his biggest thing is his kids, and he said that's where people are crazy. He said John Lennon changed a lot for a lot of people, and there was that type of you just don't know that kind of was
how so?
In other words, that
because sometimes it's your fan who will kill you, like Selena.
Oh, is that what happened to John Lennon?
Yeah.
The fan killed him.
Yeah, he actually signed an autograph. The man who shot him, he was signing his autograph hours earlier, and then later he was waiting because you walk around. Let's say you're free to walk around L.A. who you are, and he was walking to his apartment in New York, and the guy came up to him and shot him, and just right outside of his house and what have you. And there was nobody guarding him or anything like that. And I mean, you hear.
So how do they know who saw it? Who witnessed it to know that it was?
Because the gunshots were fired and everybody came running. Am I right? Lee, you have any history on that when John Lennon was shot?
Yeah, he was coming outside of his apartment on the Upper West Side.
So there were people, but it wasn't like he had bodyguards.
Right, and they were like, somebody said, "Oh, this is the same guy that he gave his autograph to earlier."
Well, they have a picture of him.
Okay.
They have a picture of him signing the autograph for the guy, whatever. Someone had a picture of whatever event he was at. And to think that, like that somebody being so close to you, my brother said that when they did a spoof where Stephen was off to the side of the stage and they had my brother kind of dress as him, even though at a distance my brother's taller than him, but he had a hood on and this cape. And they had him walking up. It was over a pool or something in Italy. And my brother said going through the crowd, it was frightening because, and then the light shined and Stephen was on the other side when they put the light on. But my brother said going through the crowd, people grabbing at him. He said, it was really scary because there's a frenzy that happens. And, I was like, man, because, you see this type of thing where when you do achieve being that famous, like I said, there's a certain thing about, if you look in the magazines as you're going through the grocery line, it's like, why do people want to just mutilate these people at every chance that they get of every aspect of their life? Like, do I really give a shit about her cellulite on the back of her ass that you caught because she happened to be at a bad angle? Seriously?
Right.
And you're
that's
watching.
The thing. We consume so much of it, right? Ever since Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, all the magazines, all the tabloids, now all the reality shows. I mean, you think you know these people.
Man, it's so easy to hate people on TV, and I got to get better about this, knowing that, things are happening for me. But, that goddamn Stephen A. Smith, man. I mean, I watch the shit damn near every morning, and he's been doing better lately. But, the things that he says sometimes, they really make me angry. And it's not so much things he say about sports. You have your opinion, but sometimes he gets so arrogant with it that it becomes bothersome, so matter of fact and everything. He thinks he's so fucking bright because he uses these huge words, and you're not doing a good job. Yeah. Like, being eloquent is about being able to be easily understood. And when you use all these big fucking words, people are like, what the fuck is he talking about? This, you're not helping me. You know what I'm saying? And then the things that he says with all of the things that have been going on with the black people and the stuff with Kaepernick and all of that stuff really bothered me. And I felt like Max Kellerman has been riding for black people more than Stephen A. Smith. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is blasphemous, as he was saying.
And it's funny because I saw you had some post on Instagram where it was just like they had that picture with all the different heads on.
Coon in the gang.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was like, wow. And it was weird to see Jim Brown on there because I just remember Jim Brown from like the 60s and that movement.
I had to find out why he was on there. And it's because
I was like, that one I didn't understand so much, but I see.
They put him on there because he was supportive of Trump. He was one of the people that met with Trump and then had nice things to say about him. And I just don't like that coon shit, man. Like, we don't need that. You know,
I feel like too when you're dealing with somebody like that, I had to give it some more thought. Like, it is kind of good if you do have access to somebody who does have that person's ear. Like, you don't want to be completely, I don't think.
Who, Trump's ear?
Yeah, or just a person in power, a president or something like that. Because if they have crazy thoughts or whatever, or like their way of thinking, you need somebody who could try to be a voice of reason to them.
Trump ain't it.
That's not how those meetings went, bro.
Thought she was going to be, but she got blackballed after that.
Those are not how those meetings went. Trump is a strategist.
Oh, for sure.
So what he's doing is he's picking he's picking these random black people. Martin Luther King's son. He's picking these random black people to talk to that really have no fucking say so and nothing to do with the community. Steve Harvey, and he's talking to them. He's charming them, and then Lee say, "Oh, you know what? This guy ain't so bad."
Whoa.
That's not helping us.
No.
Because I feel like he is a different person behind closed doors. You know, it's like two sides to that guy.
He's charming. He's been rich for years. He knows how to. I mean, he talked his way into the fucking White House.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody that has no political background. He just talked his way in. He ran a brilliant campaign. You know, you gotta appreciate that.
He made the whole Republican, like, they thought he would just be, you know, they thought they were going to use him.
Everyone dismissed him.
You know, especially when they let him run wild with Obama and the birther movement and all that stuff. And he, dictated all of their little debates.
Yeah.
Even just by not going, it's like he dictated the debate. It's just like, really?
Well, the best thing that he did with this campaign was, while Hillary thought she had certain states in the bag and she didn't campaign there, Trump was right there. He was doing all those. She was going to be in the He was doing all those small towns. You know, wherever she's going, I'm gonna be right there in the small town close by, and he just actually did the work. And Hillary thought that it was going to be a cakewalk.
Fed up on.
Well, you know, the amount of people, and even some of my friends, my daughter's one of them, I mean, passionately involved in trying to say none of this is right. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to okay what's going on with the violence. And my daughter living in Gainesville, she said, you know, that there's a good, because that sits where you have South Carolina, Georgia, all of that, where they have these rallies. And she said they might be coming here. And I'm like, you're not going to go out there, are you? You know, you're not going to take my grandson out there, are you? And my daughter's all about, like, make a stand.
Right.
You know, I don't want my grandson. And that's how I brought up my girls. And I do believe that's the issue with a lot, is what you're going to teach your children. Mm. And my kids did not grow up with racism and, you know, or hate or like.
Not in the house.
Well, no, not in my house. They lived
in Boston, so
yeah, they did. They did, but
excellent point.
Not in the house.
Excellent.
Yeah,
point.
I mean, do clarify that, because we'd have these conversations, and you know, like my daughter would ask me how I feel about this, because certain friends of hers would say things, and she'd say, "Well, I don't feel that way," and that was because I never set that kind of. I refused to. I mean, I grew up in a house where there was that type of thing.
Right.
And
when did you switch over is what I want to know, because clearly when you were raised a certain way, so it had to be some point where you said, you know what?
Mom still feels a certain way about
still
stuff.
feels a certain way.
What was your moment of saying, you know what, I'm not saying nigga anymore. What day was that?
Well, wait, let me clarify that. Really, really, really important. The friends that I had, I'm an artist, so creative people, everybody, it was a very colorful spectrum. From my friends were from every walk of life, and artists see artists. I never saw people. It was like, man, you trying to feed off each other's energy. So I got right into that, and then my mother would kind of take a step back as far as like, well, you do know, the way she was raised, she'd kind of try and impress on me. Well, I was always a rebel. I was whatever she'd say, I would go the opposite way because I didn't believe in so much of that Midwest mentality. I got in trouble a lot as a teenager because my mother was generation, you didn't back talk to adults. Kids, your opinion didn't matter, let alone women.
First of all, you can't be in grown folks' conversation.
Right. And absolutely. And I always would step that up because, I didn't agree with it at all. I mean, and that was one of the things that I've carried through. I mean, I was dating a guy from Venezuela. And my mother had an absolute meltdown because she kept saying, he has yellow eyes. What the fuck does that have to do with it? But I mean, in saying that, at her age, you're not going to change who she is.
Right.
And I understand, like I joke about that, but I'm very serious. I won't go there conversation-wise. My girls and I have that conversation on a whole nother level. My youngest daughter, Cassandra, she's the same way. Friends, artists, all of that is what do you bring to the table? Her girlfriend is one of the biggest speakers. And she says, Mom, you can't even tell an off-color joke. I mean, she's over the top. Her friend Annie, who is a professor at one of them, and she does Frank Talks is the name of that.
Okay.
Talks. But yeah, in saying that, it's just like, I don't get it. I've never understood racism. I've never understood judgment. I've never understood what, to me, is cultural should be embraced. Like the humor, the music, everything that you...
it's embraced through entertainment, for sure.
But let me ask you that, because you mentioned, so your daughter was saying you can't mention certain things around her or she'll go off about it.
Her friend. You can't tell racial jokes on any level.
So let me ask you about that with this college circuit, because I know a lot of comics are saying they don't even like to go out on the college circuit anymore because the older
all
comics.
touchy-feely.
Because,
the millennials, they I mean, everything is politically correct. I mean, I don't like performing at colleges really because my material has matured as I've matured. So a lot of it is not relatable. I find myself doing a lot of old material that they can relate to. But yeah, the millennials, they don't play that shit.
Now, Jerry Lewis just died. I have to bring him up. And I have to bring him up because, what I'd like to ask as far as comedy related is like the backlog of history. I actually have a friend of mine who has an older gentleman friend who was a friend of her husband's who is in the hospital, Margaret. And his history is he started out with George Carlin. They were actually a team. And the stories this man has of the comedy and what they did and how they... I mean, to me, researching old comedy, where your bases come from. I mean, when I ask comedians, which is a typical question, like you said, well, who's your favorite comedian? But there's this, like, after they go to Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, it's like, but there's this whole other world.
But that was a world of, like, records. I mean, we're starting to catch some of it now through YouTube, but it was like you guys were ingesting the comedy a little differently. But now you're talking still even black and white.
And there were so many. It's so many more comics these days than it was back then. I mean, once Def Jam came out, like every black person wanted to be a comedian. That was the big opening for us, and people became famous off of it and started doing movies immediately. So that was huge. Prior to that, you didn't have many black comedians. You had a few. I mean, you had some.
I mean, it was like Comic View was like get you seen, but Def Jam could like launch you.
Well,
right?
Yeah. Well, they came out around the same time. Def Jam was really the one because Comic View was a little bit watered down. Def Jam was on HBO.
Like,
yeah, but I mean, but almost all of the comics that did Def Jam that blew up, they did Comic View as well. Most of them did it. So, but back then, you talking about the 70s and 80s. You had Richard Pryor, then you had Eddie Murphy in the 80s, and you had Marshall Warfield and shit like that. I mean, Paul Mooney.
Speaking of greats who've passed on, like Dick Gregory recently.
Oh, yeah. What a beautiful man.
Dick Gregory.
What a beautiful human.
Dick Gregory, and his conspiracy theories. You know, some of them were interesting. Some of them were like, dig you out of your goddamn mind.
It didn't feel like
man.
Conspiracies. That brother seemed like he would really do his research for sure.
No, but I mean, but some of the things he said, he just like, come on, Dick. But I mean, you know, he had an opinion. He thought everything was a conspiracy. He showed a video one time of one of the reverends talking about when, you ever see this, when Martin Luther King got shot? This guy basically told on himself in the video.
Yeah. I saw that.
Then Dick Gregory also said that Bill Clinton never got a blowjob from Monica Lewinsky. He said that was all some bullshit. You can look it up. But Dick Gregory is a fucking hero because Dick Gregory turned down millions of dollars to you know, be an activist and really just kind of, you know, be for the people. Yeah, and
that's a lot to be said.
He's a fucking hero. He's a hero.
He's a hero for sure.
And I've seen him perform, like, you know, in the past few years, and you know, it's really chill and laid back style. You know,
you really got to pay attention.
You got to pay attention.
Like that little sound effect.
Yeah.
But it's
to let you know
funny.
He's making a point, and you might have missed it, but yeah,
and that timing too.
Yeah, he got a different level of respect on stage. You know, when you see somebody like that perform, then it's. I mean, Dave Chappelle has that respect now too. Dave get up there and smoke a cigarette and take 3 minutes to tell one joke, but you know he has your attention. You know,
3 minutes,
very much so,
and 13 hours.
Right. But in saying that I love that there's still comedians willing to say something about what they're saying, and you hear some certain things.
It's hard.
I would imagine because. You know, you have this incredible, like he said, the way people have gotten about what's politically correct and what, you know, what's funny, what is funny. And if we all have to stay within the same perspective of humor, I mean, it really is going to kill the range that you can bring it to, the level that you can bring it to.
And,
you know, I love that about.
I think it works two different ways because then you do have the people who will push the envelope. It's like. They were just doing there's a special going on right now about the history of comedy. And, you know, all the young comics, they're always, it's the same stuff, but it's like you got to put a new spin on it, right? So it's like whether it's your Amy Schumers or your Jesselnick or just some of these newer cats who just, they always say something that'll get the audience like.
That jolt effect.
Well, Dave Chappelle, his last special, I mean, he really went there. He said, fuck the PC shit. And Chris Rock posted something that was brilliant. He said, "This is what a free black man looks like." And there's a picture of Dave Chappelle because I mean he got up there. He said faggot and everything. You know, he just didn't give a fuck.
Well, yeah, because they say there's two things in Hollywood you want to stay away from, and that's the Jewish and the gay community. Because you'll pay a price for that.
Louis C.K. did a pretty good bit on that too.
I didn't see his special, but I mean, listen, if you're gonna be a political comic, that don't come with endorsements. And maybe not movies either, but you can be true to yourself and make a hell of a living.
Shang, you know, I keep bringing him up, but Shang.
Oh, Shang, he goes there. Shang, I mean, if you want to see somebody destroy a college, Shang will he gets standing nose at colleges.
I have no doubt.
He does better at colleges than he does on regular shows. Shang is one of those comedians that needs a lot of time. When he's confined to a 8 to 10 minute set, you can't really enjoy him that much. He's kind of hitting you with his couple of one-liners that may be a little dated. But when he has the chance to like really do a set, he kills that shit.
Yeah, he did a when he came in and did my show. That was the funniest moment was when he said, "And Trump, are we censored?" And I went, "No," and he let it fly. And I was like, "Is that even a word?" He was just brilliant.
He's woke.
And he's woke, but he's also so informed, and he knows what it is he's talking about. You cannot present anything to him that you better not have your backup knowledge before you open your mouth, because Shane does.
So speaking of which, how do you work all that material up? Because now you've gotten to that space where you're doing the specials now. So I've been able to be blessed enough to watch a little bit of your journey where it's like, you're doing your smaller sets, like you said, on a group show, and then you break into that, finally getting a special.
I've always wanted to enlighten people, and I feel like I do that, but not necessarily with political stuff or racial things. I do that sometimes via social media, and you got people. Here's the thing: you can help the people. Everybody doesn't have to be an activist. Everybody, you don't have to always activate. Sometimes you can just educate, because educating people is so important. When you could teach people why we are the way we are, and why do we do the things we do, and because it was because of this shit and this, that, and the other, then it'll make people change. You have to educate. So my plan, as I gain notoriety and I get a little bit of fame, is to educate. I want to educate people, and I want to empower people. I want to go talk to young women, whether they be black, white, whatever, and just tell them, like, to teach them to love themselves and don't get caught up in this TV hype with the social media and the plastic surgery and all that shit. I'm against all of that.
Do you have any idea of at my age, how many procedures women I know have? Like, it blows me away. And my whole thing,
it's a normal thing.
I was like,
but now these young girls are doing it. And,
I know that.
You know, an older woman would go like, "What are you doing?"
The girl that was at the salon, and she's beautiful, but she didn't look real, and she had her lips blown up, and she was like 27, and I'm like, bitch, what you gonna do when you get my age? I mean, at some point, your body isn't going to be able to deal with that. You lose nerve endings. Do you know? I know a woman that when she cries, she has to feel her face because she can't feel the tears. It was like, you know, it's like, seriously? And I mean, to sacrifice, to me, the greatest gift you've been given is the skin you're in.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, houses your mind and hopefully moves you around, okay? And what you feel it, what you feed up here. And like you said, everybody has asked me the idea of what is it you want to do. And yes, I have daughters, teaching them well, teaching my grandson well. I talk to a lot. I got a great sense of humor. I have a very young sense of humor. And in that body image, that self-worth of you're not 52 different apps to fix your face on Instagram. Who are you? You know, an hour to 2 hours to do a makeup on your face to make you look like who? Right. So, I mean, I can understand, you know, the showgirls doing that or transvestites, but I mean, a young girl of 15 years old.
Well, now, you know, and that's what social media has done. It's made everybody feel like they are the social, the entertainer.
I want to get back to the days of women wanting to impress men and stop trying to impress each other and compete with each other, because a woman goes to the club these days and all they say is, look at this bitch, look what she got on. Nah, that's
I've heard that my whole life.
Yeah, and it's like, meanwhile, a guy's trying to get your attention, so get your thirsty ass out of here. Don't you see me here dissing all these other bitches in there? That's all they want to do is outdo the next woman. And then I hate when women say, I did this for me. I don't care what anybody else thinks. This is for me. Like, that to me is some bullshit. It's some straight bullshit, because if you felt good about yourself, you know, then you wouldn't need to do any of these things. And other people can make you feel good about yourself.
No.
You know?
No, well, as I said to my daughter, nobody can give you your worth and nobody can take it away unless you give it.
Well, I mean, that it starts from within.
Right.
And nobody can give you worth or take it from you if you're strong on the inside already.
Right.
And that starts at home from mom and dad.
Right. Yeah, well, isn't it true? Like, men, they can go, yeah, daddy issues. I mean, you can tell there's a certain thing that women will give away about themselves where you can just go, okay, yeah. But I mean, that type of thing where being now single after 32 years, and I'm like, oh my God, what a world. I mean, it has changed. The game has changed significantly.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have a conversation. Nobody wants to, it's like hit and run. I feel like I have a drive-through window hanging off me because it's like, really? That's all the time you got for what? I don't even know you. Put your junk away. I'm really serious. This is the actual world as someone who's just like overwhelmed with, shall we say, advances. Yeah. That I don't know exactly guiding through that and what attracts men. And I asked that. And I had a friend of mine goes, well, you're in the middle of a crowd. I smile all the time, which makes it immediately approachable.
Right.
And, you know, I have women friends that are like, nobody asked me out. And I'm like, yeah, you look like you're going to rip somebody's dick off and beat them with it.
Right. I'm so unapproachable. And that's something I'm working on. But
do you smile? Now, I have to ask you because, like, obviously when you're on stage, like when you're up there and you're doing your thing and you're strolling across that stage and you get that smile, you know, you do, because that enlightens the audience too. You've said your line and you have that timing perfectly down and you get that smile going on. And you know, it's a great smile.
It's on purpose. It's something, let me tell you where I got that from. Because I didn't smile on stage really. I mean, if I said something that made me laugh or some type of interaction with somebody in the audience, then maybe I would laugh. But I used to date a girl who her mom is the lead singer of Sister Sledge.
Oh wow!
And I saw her perform a few years ago, and you know she's been doing this shit since the '70s. And I saw her perform a few years ago, and she was on stage looking like it was her first time. She was she was enjoying what she was doing, and she was smiling. And that was the big thing back in the '60s and '70s with groups. You know, everything was about your stage performance, and you smile and all that.
Very animated,
right?
They used to train you,
huh?
They used to train artists.
Right, they trained you, yeah. So when I saw that, all I remember is thinking, wow, she's really enjoying what she's doing, and that's making me enjoy it more. So I said, I need to incorporate that into my stand-up. So if I'm performing and I'm smiling and I'm laughing, then it's like, oh man, like they look at it like, wow, this guy is enjoying this. You know, it makes it more enjoyable.
Very much so. And you know, like I have to bring this up. What I loved is did somebody actually write that about the cat clock?
Yes.
That's and
what they said, what the comment said was, this guy said, this motherfucker look like a cat. So I just added the clock part.
Oh my God, it was priceless how you did that. And then, you know, like I always marvel at the way material presents itself and the way you guys turn it into that perfected joke. And I mean, like, my mind goes, what made him think of that? Like when you did the old people and they be sitting there and you finally get to the age and he goes, were you blinking? And even that is like, and I'm like, what made you, like, were you observing somebody doing that? Or is that?
No, that was something that's not real. The blink shit, it's not.
But it was funny.
It's just something funny, you know.
Yeah.
It's not, that never actually happened.
No, but it was the way you did it.
Yeah.
You could actually, it was funny because there's some truth to, like, even right down to the blink.
Yeah, there is some truth to a lot of his stuff, like the commitment to no leg day. Like, what? How did that start? Because you're fully committed. These are some skinny legs.
How did that joke start?
I'll say something about a prison body or something.
No, I've always, you know, I try to make my material as personal as possible. One thing about my material is it's kind of hard to steal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my shit is, I think my shit is pretty
talk about
original.
That.
Oh, people steal like crazy. It's pretty original, pretty clever. So if somebody takes my joke, somebody's gonna call them out. Like, you know, that's his shit. But that joke, when I came up with the idea, I was just talking about, you know, I was like, I work out a lot, and you know, Kevin always makes fun of me about my legs or whatever. And I said at first, the first time I tried it, I think I said, it looked like I got rickets or some shit like that, and that didn't really laugh. They didn't really laugh. Then I said, the next time I tried it, I said I used to be paralyzed, right? And that's why my legs are like that. I said, I'm a walking miracle, bitch. Don't you ever disrespect me again. And then it hit. And I said, there you go. What I do, my joke writing process is kind of like if I think of something, which is usually like some outlandish shit, I'll put it in notes on my phone, and then I'll go on stage and I'll just kind of try to play with it. The more personal stuff about my family or whatever, my daughter, is actually written out a little bit more. And there's certain things, I mean, Bill Cosby said something a long time ago. He said, everything that you think of is funny. You just have to make the audience realize that it's funny. You thought of it, you know it's funny. You got to make them realize it's funny. So certain stuff that I think about, and I know that this is not actually funny, I'm going to make this story funny. You know, the best stuff is stuff that people can relate to. And I have certain jokes that these are my favorite jokes, are the jokes that I'm thinking of some shit and I'm like, I wonder if somebody else does this. I don't know if they do or not, but I'm gonna try. And then when I tell it and then people are dying it's like, oh, those are the funniest things. They're like, oh shit, everybody's thinking, oh shit, that
yeah,
happened to me too.
Yeah,
like,
right. That the core humor is like they said. I always say it's the mirror of life looking back at you with a smirk on its face.
Right.
That truth, and I know that you don't need to like broadcast to the world. Where are you going to be? Where are you going to be working? What are you going to be showing? So because you're gone, like you're
stay working.
Yeah, and like I would like to say I loved having you on the show. You know, to try and learn a little bit more about you as a person. It's been very enlightening. And Rocky helped me out as far as having my my education tonight.
Right.
About like you the
beef.
things,
You didn't know about beef.
No.
How you not know about beef?
Where's the beef?
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, good luck with everything. You know,
Thank
it's
you.
one of those things too that I know it's a lot for a community to actually give somebody access to you. I appreciate that trust.
Well, we do that on stage, so it's not really. It's okay. I'm pretty open. Yeah. Contrary to what people think about me, I'm very different than what people think about me.
Perceive you as.
Yeah, for sure.
And that reachability. That's something. And to segue into one thing I'm going to say about Kevin, he did say that. He said that famous stuff, because they were interviewing him, he said he hates that. You know, he's a real person. He's genuine. That's first, always, because this could all go away tomorrow.
Right.
And I love that humbleness that he maintains. And I would imagine you guys all being as tight as you are and seeing where you guys are all going, it's just like a great ride. It couldn't happen to nicer people. I mean, and I mean that only in the respect that examples set. It's so cool to see mentors to these younger people that you're talking about actually making that a priority, because that's the greatest gift that you can do with the gift that you've been given. And a lot of people don't realize that.
And I like that you mentioned that too, about trying to help people along, like, you know, you would want to have been helped along too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm about empowering people, and I'm about, you know, reaching down to help somebody else. Like I said, I want people to be able to set people up to make their own money.
Yeah.
So you can stay the fuck out of my pockets.
And with that, thank you for joining us. You guys stay tuned next week. We'll have another great guest. Rocky and I will be back. And thanks for coming in. Catch you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lee.
Thanks.